So, like the title says, I think it's pretty self-explanatory. No justice, no peace. Why people leave the police. And the rationale for having something like this was actually twofold. One was basically we thought it would be useful to hear from three people who were part of the police force and who ended up leaving it, for us to be able to, or for people in general who are here to be able to challenge the question of police benevolence. There's this, notion that's quite present that the police are out there to protect and serve the people, when obviously a lot of us think otherwise. And when some of us make those kinds of assertions, we're often not necessarily taken seriously. And so one element of value, I think, with this panel is basically hearing it from people who actually lived that reality and left, and not only left, but then have become part of social justice movements, including movements against police violence. And then the other point, I think, is precisely because of that insider's view that the three panelists provide, we hope to be able to potentially use that as we continue to build our own movements for social justice and against police violence. So just quickly, I'm going to just do quick introductions, and then we're going to get started. We're actually experimenting with a bit of a different format for this panel. Instead of having the three panelists speak for 20 to 30 minutes, we're basically going to be asking them questions and having them answer for an hour and a half or 2 hours, and then we'll basically open it up to everyone here to be able to ask questions as well. So we'll just go, I guess, in order. So just Gaby is sitting at the edge. Gaby Pedicelli. She went through police training and went through Nicolette in the late 80s. And once she basically, after completing that, she decided that she wasn't gonna pursue work in the police force. In fact, she ended up going on to write a book called When Police Kill. That was published in 1999, talking about the police murders in Montreal and in Toronto, from basically spanning between 1987 to 1995. And she's currently active, it works at the People's Potato, which, by the way, is offering us free food tomorrow for lunch and for supper. And she also does support work with prisoners. Will Prosper is sitting beside Gaby. He was involved, or was part of the RCMP for about 5 years, working in Manitoba, and then ultimately left the force. And most people probably here have seen him in some form of media in the last year or two, particularly quite active around the death of Freddy Villanueva with groups like Montréal Nord République, as well as la Coalition contre la répression et les abus policiers, the CRAP. And finally, Marcel Sévigny, who's sitting beside me, was part of the police force for almost 10 years in the mid-60s and 70s here in Montreal. Ultimately left the force and was a councillor in the municipal politics for about 15 years, and is currently involved with grassroots community-based organizing in the neighborhood of Pointe Saint-Charles with groups like Pointe Libertaire and the Autonomous Social Center.